Hey guys, it's Katie. As some of you may know, I recently had a miscarriage. I had an ectopic pregnancy miscarriage that ended up with me losing my tube. And I just kind of wanted to go into the story of how that happened today because it was so insane. And I feel like when something traumatic happens to you, you automatically try to find other people and other stories that make you feel like you're not alone. And I had a really hard time doing that. I found people who had ectopic pregnancies, but I couldn't find anything that was like what happened to me. So in case you're out there and you're looking for something that you're like, what happened? I want to make this video to kind of shed some light on what can happen. I didn't know that any of this could happen. Literally, there's so much that goes into fertility and trying to conceive that no one talks about, nobody knows. And it's so sad. So I have a couple other videos. I will link them down below. That was kind of like my real-time experience. I started filming while I was in the hospital and didn't know what was happening. So I have that video. And then I also have the finding out I was pregnant and telling my husband. I almost deleted those videos. And I'm so happy that I didn't. After the miscarriage, I felt like I didn't deserve them. I felt like I should just throw them away, get rid of them. Like, why would I want to watch them? But I'm so glad that I didn't. So just a piece of advice, if you're like new, this just happened to you, save the videos, don't delete them. You will want them later on because that is still your baby. You know, like I have a baby up in heaven and I'm a mom. I'm a mom to an angel baby, and I love the video of finding out I was pregnant. So yeah. Anyways, I don't want this to be too long, so I'm just gonna go into starting at the very beginning. Our first like real try, like tracking ovulation, all that was in March, and I happened to ovulate on our wedding day. Like, what are the odds? It was amazing. And so we baby danced that day and then the next day. That was it. And then my period was late and I was like, oh, this is weird. I have long cycles. I don't normally ovulate until cycle day, sometime between like 17 and 21. So it's always weird to me, and I had only gotten off birth control a few months prior, so I wasn't sure what was going on, but it was late. I called my doctor, they gave me Provera. I was taking pregnancy tests this whole time. The whole time I'm taking pregnancy tests and everything says negative. So my doctor's like, okay, you're not pregnant, let me give you Provera, and then let's give you a round of Clomid to see if we can like regulate your cycle and get you like figured out. Because I was so upset. I was like, how am I ever gonna get pregnant if my cycle's all jacked up? So I take Provera and I start bleeding like 5 days later. So I take my Clomid and I'm afraid my dog's about to knock my camera down. And I thought everything was fine, normal, cool. So I tracked my LH, I peaked again. I think we did it like 4 times in my fertile window, and I was really confident. I was like, okay, that's it. Like, it's gonna work. Because when you're young, you think that if you have sex one time, you're gonna get pregnant until you start trying to make a baby and you realize that it's not that easy. So my period comes like 2 days late, but it comes. And before this, I'm taking pregnancy tests and they're all negative. So I was super disappointed again. So my doctor gives me Clomid again and I start tracking my LH on cycle day 10 and it's through the roof. Like, it's crazy. So at this point, first try, spoiler alert, when it worked, when we got pregnant, was March 28th. Now we are to the end of May. And I'm cycle day 10 and I start testing my LH and it's like 2.6, which is, if you know, that's like very high. So I was like telling my friend, and that's super early for me. I do not peak until, like I said, sometime between like 17 and 21. But I was on Clomid, so I started testing early because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And so for the first day, cycle day 10, I thought, okay, this is just like a Clomid peak. This is crazy. So we start baby dancing. Duh. So then the next day, I do it again, and it's still like 2.3, like wildly high. So we baby dance again. And I told my friend, I was like, this is crazy. And she's like, you should take a pregnancy test. I was like, I got my period. I've had negative pregnancy tests. I couldn't be pregnant. So another day. So now I'm to cycle day 10, 11, 12. I do it again, and it's still insanely high. And at this point, I had been tracking enough to know that that's not normal. Even with Clomid, like the cycle previously, that's not normal. So I'm like, F it, I'll take a pregnancy test. Sure, whatever. It was positive. Imagine my surprise. I was so confused. So then I was like, okay, my last period must have been implantation bleeding. And that wasn't a period. So that's how I rationalized it. So fast forward to like an hour later, I tell my husband, it is the most incredible, amazing moment of my life. And then the next day, I have some cramping and I spotted, and that terrified me. I do not go to the doctor. I hate needles more than anyone you will ever meet. But because I was pregnant, nothing mattered more than making sure that that baby was okay. So I went to the hospital. I went to the emergency room, and they took my HCG. They said it was 421, which was perfect, right in line for what it should be at, 5 weeks is where we thought I was. And so I went home. It was my birthday. So I had some friends over. It was the best day ever. I was like, oh, this is 30. This is amazing. Like having the best birthday. Everybody was hammered except for me, but that was fine because I was pregnant and there was nothing I wanted more than that. So then the next day I'm cramping again, and it's still like very, very, particularly on only my right side. I didn't really have like center cramping, and there was nothing going on my left side. And I was spotting a little bit, but I was still pregnancy testing, and they were still all positive. So, when I had gone on Friday, he said, come back on Monday and we'll test your HCG again, and it should have doubled. And as long as it doubled, then you're fine. A lot of people spot them in the beginning. So I'm like, cool, great, I'm good. So Monday morning comes, and my cramps are so bad that basically I knew something was wrong. Did I know what was wrong and to the severity of what it ended up being? No, because I didn't even know what an ectopic pregnancy was. I had never heard of it. I was clueless. Even though I was like gung-ho, I was testing my LH. Like I thought I was like so knowledgeable in the whole trying to conceive realm. Joke's on me, I wasn't. So I go to the emergency room, and they do an internal sonogram, and they see something on my right tube. At this point, she thinks it's some weird cyst with a tooth in it. I honestly don't even remember what it's called, but she didn't think it was a baby. So then we do my HCG, and it's dropped. It was supposed to double, and it cut in half. It went down to like 231. So at that point, they knew whatever was going on in there was not viable. And I was distraught. Worst part of this was that because of COVID, I was in the emergency room by myself. And at this point, this was June 1st, my 30th birthday. So they do another sonogram, and they can see that it's not good. And then they think that there's internal bleeding. And so basically they're like, okay, we're going to do surgery. We're going to do it now. Because the thing about ectopic pregnancies is that they're incredibly dangerous and they can kill you. And I, again, had no idea what an ectopic pregnancy was, let alone how dangerous it could be. That was my dog. So thank God the hospital was empty and the doctors were like, your husband can come. This is crazy. He can come. So even though I think you broke the rules, thank you. You'll never see this, but it was so appreciated to be able to have my husband there. So I had to sign consent that if for whatever reason they could possibly have to remove like an ovary or fallopian tube, that it was okay, but no one thought that that was what was going to happen. So I wake up from surgery and they roll me in there and the doctor's like, well, that was not a cyst with a tooth, whatever those are called. You were having an ectopic pregnancy and it had completely ruptured from your tube. And they were estimating it to be about 8 weeks. So when I heard that, I was like, I'm so confused, because at this point I think I'm like 5 weeks max and that my last period was implantation. He just took the baby teddy bear. So I was like, I was upset that my tube was gone and I was so confused. What do you mean I'm 8 weeks? I've been taking pregnancy tests this entire time and everything was negative. And the doctors were shocked. They were like, so I assumed that because it was ectopic, that's why my pregnancy test had all been negative. And from what I've seen on YouTube, that's not the case. Every other video that I saw on here, and from what my doctor said, is that an ectopic still should have showed up on a pregnancy test. So the fact that it didn't is wild. And that's the part that I have such a hard time wrapping my head around, because I just don't understand. And that's where I was looking for a community of women who could say, I had negative pregnancy tests too. And then I found out I was however many weeks, because I don't understand how it happened. So please leave me some comments if this has happened to you, or if you know someone this has happened to, because I'm making this video to help other people, but honestly, it's also still just me trying to find how and why, and it's just crazy. So, I had my surgery, I healed physically, but mentally is a whole nother story. I went into like the most depressed place I've ever been. There was no heavier pain I've ever felt in my life to go from so happy, excited, thrilled, like there's no word to describe the feeling I had to see that positive test and to tell Alec it's all I've ever wanted. And then to have that ripped away on my birthday and then lose a tube and have the fear of what is it going to be like to try to conceive from here on out has been detrimental, to the point of I've had to find a therapist. And I'm just now finally finding my happy again. I've been listening to this podcast called The Elevated Life, and it's this couple, Britt and Chris Carmichael, and they just it's all about positivity and finding your inner happiness. And thank goodness for that, because that has really started to help me. But if you can see right there, this is my baby room. I'll do another video to show you that. But that's my little rainbow picture that I found, because there's nothing I want more than a rainbow baby. And I know anyone watching this who is in the same situation as me. There's actually a rainbow on my floor right now from my window. I see rainbows all the time. And I feel like that's a sign that God is going to give me another baby. And I'm getting through this whole thing without crying, so I'm going to do it. And that my little angel baby was just too perfect for the world. So it had to automatically go to heaven. So yeah, now I'm in the stage of trying to conceive my rainbow baby. And it's scary and it's heartbreaking, and getting your period sucks when you're trying to conceive at all, but it really sucks after you've had a miscarriage and you're just chasing that positive pregnancy test again. So I'm going to continue kind of keeping you along with my journey. I just feel like it's important to talk about for my own mental health, for my own sanity. It feels good to talk about it. and to just share my experiences with other people to hopefully help you guys. I'm going to put on the bottom link down here the app that I use and the LH strips that I use. It's called Premom. Honestly, I think that it's awesome. It's great. It's a really good price. It comes with 20 little pregnancy test strips too. So I'm going to link that down there if there's anyone interested in who's trying to conceive and wants to just kind of narrow in on when they're ovulating, because everyone says you ovulate at 14 days. Girl, I don't ovulate until 17 to 21. So it's so important to figure out your actual cycle if you're in this trying to conceive phase of your life. But yeah, I had negative pregnancy tests for 2 months while I was pregnant. So again, if there is anyone who has similar stories, crazy things, crazier things, leave it all in the comments. Let's get through this together, because it's freaking hard. And baby dust to everyone. Rainbow baby dust to all of you. I hope the next video I'm making is me finding out I'm pregnant again, but we will see. I was also thinking of making a video with all of the things that I'm doing to try to conceive, the vitamins I'm taking, the plan that I'm using. So maybe that'll be my next video. And then maybe a finding out I'm pregnant video. We'll see. But thanks for watching. Subscribe. Hopefully there are many more exciting, happy videos to come. There's nothing I want to do more than be doing like first trimester pregnancy symptoms, baby bump updates. Like, that is what you will find here someday. So have a good one.